it's time that we upgrade these old brakes to something a little more saucy. So you're going to want to start by taking off your wheels and tires. Make sure you break the lugs off while the car is still on the ground. And a very important tip, make sure you don't strip any of the lugs like I did. Okay, so now that you have the car up in the air secured, go ahead and take off the wheels and tires. And I usually just stick the tire underneath the car for extra protection. Now, I've never actually done any type of brake job before, but it seemed pretty straightforward. You're going to want to take your whole caliper apart, and I just started off by taking the pads off first. Okay, so after that, I went behind the caliper and I took off all the bolts that were back there. And those bolts basically just hold the front to the back side. So when I took them off, you can see it came apart. And after all that was out, then I went ahead and took off the brake lines as well. Now just go ahead and repeat the same process to the back calipers, and the back ones were actually a little bit easier to take off. You can see how cooked my brake pad actually was. This is the main reason why I was doing the brake upgrade in the first place. So after I took off the whole assembly, I just went ahead and got a wire brush and started cleaning off all the rust away so the new rotors can go in there nice and smoothly and won't seize up like these old ones. Out with the old, those are the front, and with the new, those are the rear, the new rear. There's some stop tech. So I opted for just cleaning the hardware instead of getting new ones, and you can see it cleaned up very well. So if you want to, you can just go ahead and get a new set, but I just cleaned it up and it cleaned up really well actually. And here you can see the new rotor. It looks nice and shiny and clean. And here's the old one, which weren't actually that bad. I was really just doing it for the rear rotors, but you know, we went all the way around all fours, and I was just so excited to put these on. I wish they stayed black to match the car. So here I have my calipers. I'm thinking I took them apart. I'm thinking that it's hard to tell, but only this side is really painted, and it's painted great. And this part right here is pretty much like machine, or it's just metal. It doesn't have the lines painted. I'm thinking I might just paint the fronts on all of them. I'll keep you updated on what I do. So I did just decide to paint the front of the calipers, as you weren't really going to be able to see the back side anyway. So here I am scuffing it up, getting it ready for paint. I ended up changing clothes because I underestimated how dirty these calipers actually were from the inside. So it took a lot of brake cleaner and a lot of scrubbing, but we got them pretty clean actually. I even scrubbed it with some soapy water to make sure there was no grease stuck in any of the cracks or crevices. So here you can see how clean they look. I actually wanted to put them back in the car, but nope. We went straight to the primer. Gave it a few coats of that and really just made sure it was completely covered. So I would have to say that aside from doing the whole job, picking the color was the hardest part. But I ended up going for this pretty bright yellow, and honestly, I think it turned out really well. But I'm gonna let you guys see it right now.
2,000 years later.
So I wasn't done there. To finish off the job perfectly, I had to add these Akebono decals, just to let everybody know what we're rocking with. Okay, so basically I just put the stickers on and hit the whole caliper with some clear coat just to seal the stickers in there with the paint. And this is basically how they turned out. Let me know what you guys think about them. Let me know if you think I should have done a different color, or if you guys like this color. Okay, so after a few days of letting them dry, it was time to reassemble everything back to the way it was. So these front brake lines were a little tricky to route. Just pay attention, make sure that they're not rubbing against the wheel. As you can see, mine was, and it chewed it up a little bit, but I just went ahead and zip tied it so it wasn't flopping around, and that seemed to solve the issue. Okay, so after the whole brake system is back inside of the car, the last thing that we're gonna do is bleed the brake lines. Okay, so for this part, I basically just got a rubber hose and a water bottle and attached it to the bleeder part of the caliper. And while one person was pumping on the brakes, the other person was loosening and tightening the caliper bolt accordingly to allow the new brake fluid to enter the lines. Okay, so like I mentioned earlier, I had never done any kind of brake job before, but it was actually pretty straightforward, and you can see all the dirty brake fluid right there in that water bottle. I really needed this brake job, and you can see how well it turned out. I think it looks really good. Let me know what you guys think about it. The last thing to do is just put the wheels and tires back on, and just be very careful not to hit your freshly painted calipers, and make sure that you're not rubbing on those brake lines like I mentioned earlier. Okay, so I lied. The very last thing to do is going to be to wash the car and clean it up and just enjoy these freshly painted calipers. So funny thing is, after the car wash, I went to go get some gas, and someone actually tried to buy the car off of me here at the gas station, but I told them it wasn't for sale.